Welcome to Meet Me Where I Am, the podcast where we examine what we believe, how we think, and why that matters. Each week, we break down a common logical fallacy, explore how it shows up in real life, and use street epistemology to ask better questions, not to win debates, but to build understanding. Whether you're a curious skeptic, a lifelong learner, or someone who just wants to have better conversations, you're in the right place. Let's learn ways to have those difficult conversations and build better relationships. Thank you for listening to Meet Me Where I Am. Our logical fallacy of the day is the red herring. Have you heard of the red herring, Mom?
It's a fish?
It is a fish. You're right. I don't know if people eat it, but anyway, the red herring is a very common logical fallacy and also tactic that is basically just distraction and subversion, seemingly related, close to the point, so that it's easy for the person to link it together. Let me give you an example. Let me explain the origin. So legend has it that in the 1700s, when hunters were training their dogs, that they would drag a red herring across the trail to see if they were properly trained, I think.
Throw them off the track?
Exactly. And so if they went for the red herring, the fish instead of the actual kill, then they needed additional training. I don't know. I think that it actually wasn't real, that they came to the conclusion that it was just a legend. So it didn't actually happen. But again, it's just distraction away from the point. But again, it's close, like red herring, you could eat a red herring, right? Versus the duck that the owner shot. So like the dog's like, this is good enough, right?
Okay. So do you have some specific examples?
So we know that politicians love to do this. They do this a lot when they're speaking. They just do it really naturally. So an example of this is, so the question gets asked, are you going to raise the minimum wage? And the respondent goes, that's a very important question. People want to be able to pay for food and things for their family. We're going to give people that right back. So like they didn't answer the question directly.
They didn't answer the question about raising the minimum wage. They just said, we know that you're poor and you want more money, and we'll take care of that, but not specifically.
They connected it by saying, yes, it's important for people to be able to pay for things, but they didn't actually say they would raise minimum wage.
Right.
They made a claim. It was so close that it was that the person, the respondent, agrees with that and thinks that their question has been answered.
Right. But they didn't answer it.
Politicians do this.
So they kind of like threw this thing out there to throw you off the track of, well, minimum wage, but like, yeah, we know it's tough.
They didn't really want to answer it. Right. Yeah. Right. So it's also really common to build suspense in movies and theater. Obviously, Agatha Christie was the red herring queen.
Oh, really?
Murder on the Orient Express is her famous play. Yeah. That the only red herring in that play is the existence of red herrings.
Okay.
Because I'm going to spoil it. Spoiler alert, Murder on the Orient Express. Typically, a red herring in a thriller type movie would make you think someone who is innocent is really guilty, right? But in Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, every single person in the train has a part in killing. So literally, they were all red herrings.
They all had motives.
No, like you were made to think that it was just one person, but they were all part of it. Yes, exactly.
Been a while since I've seen that movie.
It's also I did dive down a little bit of a rabbit hole with like the whole red herring in movies, and I'm like, oh my God, yes. So it's basically used in thriller, suspense type movies, but it can also be used not in the plot, but in casting choices and marketing, they use it as well. One example of that is Drew Barrymore being cast as the lead and on the front cover of the Scream franchise. When it first started, Drew Barrymore, huge name. Everybody knows her, loves her from E.T., right? That's the only thing she's done. Only E.T. And then she dies in the very first scene of the movie. But she's all over the movie posters, like distracting you from the fact that
we have this really famous actress in the whole movie. This really famous person. Exactly. She's on the poster. No, she died in the first scene.
So obviously that was just a marketing strategy to bring more people in because of her name.
I never saw the red herring like that. Interesting.
Yeah, but then the movie Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects. Oh my God.
The Usual Suspects. Do you remember that movie?
I do.
And it was the way that they used the red herring. Yes, the way that they used that, they used an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, totally. Completely. It was him all along.
Yeah. Oh, wait, unreliable. So we, the audience, were led astray. We thought that he was a reliable narrator.
Right.
And we were only told right at the end.
He was just relaying the story. No, it was him all along.
So it's very easy to use. I know. And,
is that
it's used in many different ways.
Is that like in The Sixth Sense when we thought he was alive, and then it's like, no, he was
exactly. We go back
the clues were there.
M. Night Shyamalan was a genius in that because he made the red herrings actually red.
Oh, did he really? What?
He go back and watch it and look for all of the red signs. Yes, there's like a red balloon and like a red like a red curtain, or like there's a bunch of random red things in The Sixth Sense that will are hints to the fact that he's really dead.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, I know that to me the one scene that really says it is when the kid's in the hospital and he's under that pink blanket and he's like, I see dead people. And what he's really telling him is that you were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't know they're dead. And he was really saying it to Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he didn't say you're dead. He just said, I see dead people and they don't know they're dead. And it's like, and when you go back and it's like, oh my God, he was telling him.
He was dead the whole time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. I know. Also an unreliable narrator.
So more about the red herring?
If you just remember that it is a distraction and it is a way to pull away from the main claim. But again, close enough that people are able to draw that logical conclusion in their brain, that logical connection. Yeah. I think anytime a politician answers a question, except Bernie Sanders, I will say most of the time, Bernie Sanders answers 95% of the questions he's asked, but he also does dance around it a little bit and gets back to the topic a little bit, like most politicians. But I mean, as far as politicians go, I trust Bernie Sanders more than others. But
I don't know. So there are times, and they did this. Let's say specifically, I know that one of the things that he would do, and I don't think it was a red herring, is they would say, well, what do you think about, James Comey releasing Hillary's emails? And he would say, well, I don't really know about all that, but I do know that, billionaires are running the country. So he would always flip it.
Steer it back to the right topic.
Here are the real issues. I don't really want to talk about that because whatever, but here's the real issues. And
Bernie Sanders doesn't, he doesn't know. He doesn't use the red herring to distract and avoid answering questions. He actually gets people away from using red herrings and focusing on the issues.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because some people, for instance, would say that was a red herring and a distraction, which we seem to be dealing with a lot these
Also, if you think about it too, a red herring could also be ad hominem and could be, you know what I mean? Because it's a distraction and it's like, if someone says no,
that happened to me yesterday. Somebody on Facebook commented something and I forget what it was about, but it was later that night that I said, because I said, well, that's just an ad hominem, and I don't, whenever you ad hominem me, I'm over this conversation.
Yeah.
But then it was later that I realized, but it was also a red herring. That he was just throwing
and a straw man
out.
Exactly.
Yeah, all those things. And I was like, oh. And I wasn't, like I said, I didn't even really study up on the red herring thing. But then I was like, yeah, that wasn't just an ad hominem. It was also a red herring. He was just,
it can be
he was
many
distracting from the point I made by throwing something out there that was basically BS.
And the important thing is you don't need to call people out when they use them, obviously. And people use them without even realizing it. As we've been talking about it now, there have been several instances where you're honestly, like, whoa, yeah, I didn't even think of that. So
when you have somebody who is a dishonest interlocutor, I am totally calling them out now.
Yeah.
If I realize it.
But again, if it's in a civil conversation that you're having with someone and they keep doing that, then maybe just remind them that this is the specific topic that we're talking about. Like, if you want to talk about other stuff, we can add that to it. But like, I'd like to stick with this specific claim and talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's literally a red herring is just trying to get you off topic or get you to come to a conclusion.
Get your dog going in a different direction.
Yeah. Get your dog getting the fish. And
getting the fish and not the target, not the hunt.
Right.
Throw you off your track, throw you off your trail, throw you off your train of thought.
Yep.
Yeah. So you basically have to, when this happens, is say, well, that's not what I said or that's not what I asked. Just like with the straw man one, you have to kind of rephrase what you said again. It's like, this is what I said. Let's talk about that. Right.
Right. And remember that if there's a misunderstanding, then say, repeat back to me what I said so that I have a better understanding of what you heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, and honestly, too, and we know this is like, yeah, there may be times when people will use that kind of a thing because they honestly don't know or don't know what to say or don't know how to, and maybe to them that make those two things together make sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And so, but we also know that there are times when they totally know what they're doing. And they are throwing you off.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
Because they want to.
Especially politicians, not answering the question. If you go back and look at all of the debates, there are definitely red herrings all over the place.
And I think I've seen the White House press secretary does this too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Often.
And so it's just, once you know the fallacies we've mentioned, then you're able to recognize them and you're able to say like, oh, that person is not as honest as I thought that they were, or I need to consider the things that they're saying because they're using, because they're using all these logical fallacies,
Right.
If someone that you are following or someone that you idolize is using a lot of logical fallacies, like ask yourself, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, like,
yeah.
Is this really
what we're trying to do is to teach people what these things are so you can recognize them and spot them. And then if you see this happening a lot, especially with one individual person, whether that's somebody that you know personally or a politician or a celebrity or somebody that some expert that you claim to respect, and they keep using these things, then maybe you should reconsider whether you should. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of our podcast, is to help teach people that reality isn't always what you think it is. Right?
Everybody has their own version of reality.
Right.
And the sooner that we acknowledge that and acknowledge that their reality is just as true as my reality, then like we can come to a better understanding of each other a lot quicker.
Right.
A lot quicker. So
well, good. Red herring. stinky.
If anybody has any logical fallacies that you would like to have us review, please email us at meetmewhereIam@gmail.com.
So come find us. Leave a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Send us your messages.
Please share our podcast. We have, I don't know how many followers, but we need more.
We didn't get very many listens the last podcast, but I think that's our own fault. So
yeah, we have taken a little bit of a break. So we're going to be back on it now. And
everybody share.
Every week.
Let's go.
Let's go. Find us on social media at Meet Me Where I Am on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You may also email us at meetmewhereiampod@gmail.com. If you leave a review, please don't be anonymous. We'd love to hear what you have to say so we can meet you where you are. I watched a video on YouTube that I thought was really, really interesting. And the subject of the video is why skepticism is important and 10 ways that reality tricks us. Or
interesting.
Trick you. And we'll link that. It's a 30-minute video in the notes. In the
show description. Yep.
I just want to cover the basics of it so that, you can get an idea of how we don't know everything.
Totally.
And why keeping, why sometimes, or well, maybe a lot, suspending judgment, is especially considering that our main theme is skepticism, right? We want to keep your mind open. We understand that being skeptical about certain things is important, especially in relation to what you believe and why you believe it. And how do you, if you see that two sides, like there's a claim and a counterclaim, and they both make sense and they're both logical, how do you make the rational and logical decision based off, well, who's right and who's wrong? And in those cases, sometimes you have to suspend your judgment and you have to delve deeper and basically slow down and take your time and probably at the beginning say, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So here's the 10 modes of skepticism that somebody coined like thousands of years ago. But so the first four, they're relative to our perception of things. Okay. So number one is the difference among animals. So for instance, dogs can hear high-pitched sounds that we can't hear. Right? Bees can see ultraviolet patterns in flowers that we can't see. Cats can see in the dark. Bats can fly with sonar. You know that olive oil, while it can be soothing to humans, can be irritating to animals? So these are little differences that there's this whole other world that we don't know, right? Like our senses are not universal detectors of reality. So if there are if different creatures experience the world in different ways, then there's no particular creature, including humans, that can claim a complete objective truth, right?
Okay, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. So because let me just paraphrase if I may.
Yeah.
So because animals have higher senses and their reality is different than ours. So because their reality is different than ours, there's no way for anyone to really say what 100% is reality. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we can't see the world in some of the ways they can see the world, and they can't see the world in some of the ways we can see the world. So nobody really has 100% of
reality.
The
is totally
truth of reality.
Objective. Yes.
Right.
Got it.
Okay. Then number two is the differences between humans, right? Like, for instance, your taste in music and food. Some like it, some hate it. Do you know, for instance, that for some people, cilantro tastes like soap? I didn't know that. But it tastes okay to me. But for some people, you know how there's the eyewitness phenomenon whenever something happens and people are reporting on what they saw. And depending upon where people were standing in their position, they saw different things, right?
Totally.
Not to mention that you have education, your background, your intelligence. So your memories, your beliefs, your biases, all of these things affect just those differences alone affect how you perceive and see things. You remember the blue, or was it a blue and black dress or a gold and white dress phenomenon?
Right. Or the shoes, the pink and white shoes, or the teal and white. Yeah, right.
So, in other words, basically, you shouldn't assume that in a disagreement that someone is just wrong or right, because they have different ways of perceiving things, different brains, different nervous systems, all that kind of thing, right? That's just another one. Differences between animals, differences between humans. Then we have the discrepancy between the senses. So our senses can contradict each other. Like,
oh yeah, and
how you can look at a page in the Magic Eye book and it just looks like static, right? But if you look like you're looking through it or cross your eyes or whatever, then you can see this 3D image pop out at you. Some people can do this, some can't. But there's not a 3D image there. It's flat, but your eyes can see something, right? Sometimes you'll see food that looks really good, but it smells bad. So your senses are telling you different stories. Like your eyes say, that looks great. I want to eat that. And your nose goes, ooh, that's not right. So we tend to trust what we see more than what we hear. So sometimes, you know how you'll hear a noise at night and you'll go and you'll look around and you'll see, well, what was that? What was that? And if you can't figure out what it was, then your brain will just be saying, or, you'll just say, well, my brain must be playing tricks on me or something, right? So basically from this, you want to be kind of slow to believe what your first impressions are about things, because, it doesn't mean you're even if your senses can't agree with each other, right?
Totally, yeah. Like acknowledge that you're taking it in and you're still learning information. Yeah,
right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So then we have our bodily and our mental condition. So our physical, our emotional, our psychological states, they affect how we receive or perceive information and how also we cognitively analyze it. Like fatigue, hunger, hormones, whether we're in pain, whether we have a lot of emotion, whether that emotion is fear or anger or sadness or envy. All of these things can change our perception of our reality. So, food can taste different depending upon how you're feeling. If you're sick, it might not taste the same. Or if you're really hungry, it might be the best burger you ever ate, So another part of this is that how do we know which one is the baseline? So how do we know that the people who are sick with jaundice and eating honey and tasting bitterness, how do we know that they're the ones who are tasting it wrong, and that everybody else who thinks honey is sweet and awesome and amazing, like how do we know which one's the baseline? How do we know which one is real or not? That's another aspect of it.
Again, that's an objective decision, though, that like society has decided that honey is sweet, right?
And we are going to get to that one too.
Exactly. Okay.
That's another one.
Got it.
I want to bring up this one because I remember this, and some other people my age might remember it too. And this is also going to come up in another one when we talk about customs and conditioning. But I don't know if you have seen a lot of Twilight Zone episodes.
Totally, yeah.
There is one specific Twilight Zone episode where the whole episode is this woman who's wearing bandages all over her face, and she's like, "Doctor, do you think it's gonna work? Do you think the operation worked or the procedure worked? Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, And you never ever see the faces of the nurses or the doctors or the orderlies or anybody. You always see the backs of their heads or the sides of their shadows or something like that, right? And at the end, they take the bandages off, and this woman kind of looks like Marilyn Monroe. And all the people standing around her go, "Oh my God, it didn't work!" And you get a picture of them, and they have like pig faces,
giant noses.
So for them, their perception and their reality, again, part of that mental conditioning, and also part of the customs and conditioning, was that she was ugly and they were beautiful, right? So now we're going to talk about things that are from our environment and context of things. So circumstances and positions. So for instance, when you see a mountain from far away, you can do the little finger thing and it looks small. You know how you do that thing with people's heads and you squeeze their head in between your fingers because it fits in there, but they're really far away, right? But but when you hold your fingers up, it looks like their head
like you
can
can
fit
squash
in
them, right?
Like
right.
a mountain from far away looks really small, but when you fly in it over a helicopter, you're like, wow, this thing is really big, right?
It's a matter of perspective, right?
Right. So part of that is your circumstances of how you encounter something makes a difference on how you see it. So you want to hold off on judgment. Basically, you want to like for instance, another thing is, and when you receive a text message, depending upon your mood, you could see something somebody says that is really innocuous, but you perceived it as, they were being mean or, they were being sharp with you or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Just based on your own circumstances and your position at the time. So
just because you can't convey tone through text, right?
Very,
exactly.
Very difficult.
You're taking whatever tone is already in your head, and if it was a bad day today, that tone is real aggressive.
It's gonna, it's gonna stick with you on all the things. So basically, what you want to do is you just want to slow down. You want to hold off on judgment. You want to get more information, realizing that whatever your circumstances and positions are may be affecting how you're seeing things. You know how people like on social media, they'll have a story or a post up and then people start reacting right away, like immediately making these judgments, right? Instead of waiting and trying to get more of the story or to look at it from another angle, they jump to conclusions.
Wait a minute. That just a light bulb went off in my head.
Yeah.
They literally made reactions a part of those environments. And then like literally the reaction, the different emojis that you press is your reaction. Like they made having a reaction about something a huge, huge thing. And like rational adults shouldn't have giant reactions to things.
The immediate reaction of I hate this or I'm surprised by this.
Strong emotional reaction. That is a very immature mentality and it is very easy to fall back into it. But like reserving judgment is a very grown up adult thing that we need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds really like really elementary when you put it like that, but
right. So another part of the environment and context this is number 6, is called mixtures and combinations, that our observations are never perceived in isolation. For instance, that mixtures can influence how we see them. For instance, wine, if you put it on ice, water it down, it can taste different depending upon the mixture. And it can also have a different effect based on that mixture. Like, how you've seen or you've looked at alcoholic beverages, for instance, wine, beer, hard liquor, whatever, and see that percentage of the alcohol content, right? That mixture, that percentage can have a different effect based on, so one shot of wine isn't going to have the same effect as one shot of, say, whiskey, right?
Okay, yeah.
And they also taste different depending upon their mixtures, right? Two
Yes.
perfumes that might by themselves smell really nice, if you mix them together, might make a foul smell. Right. Music can sound better or different if you hear it on a record player or if you have really nice headphones or really big subwoofers. It can sound different based on whether you're listening to it at a lower volume or a higher volume. Right? It could even sound different if you're in a different room. Yes, and live and in concert. Exactly. How, for instance, wine and chocolate together is a really good combination, or say crackers and cheese, like different things together, mixtures and combinations taste different and or better based on, what you're pairing it with. So we always want to think about also what I was watching this, I thought about how we, receive a person or an idea or a truth claim, and what are we pairing it with? So here's one of my examples is whenever I meet somebody named Kelly, I have an instant, oh, I've dealt with people named Kelly in the past and it hasn't always gone really well.
Right.
So for
you
me,
come with a preconceived idea of maybe who they are because of previous instances with Kellys.
For instance, right now we have somebody at the high school and his name is Kelly. Now the Kellys I've dealt with in the past have been women. So when I was like, oh, his name's Kelly, oh, okay. So I had to tell myself, like, you have to realize this is not the same person. You cannot compare him, you cannot pair him with these people. You have to deal with this person and whatever happens with him on their own, and don't prejudge based on what you have heard and lived with Kellys before. Right.
So, yeah. Everybody has their own individual experience and everybody has their own individual reality. And so we're using our reality to make our decisions, and everybody's different. Yeah.
That makes and here are other things like that you will pair, and use that mixtures and combinations. You will pair things like if you see somebody with a rainbow flag, that you have this preconceived notion
virtue
of what
signaling,
that means.
Yes.
Like, remember when on Facebook, when COVID hit and then the vaccine came out and people got I got the vaccine frame, and then people would say things about you. Oh, I see you got it. You got the vaccine. So they immediately made judgments about every part of your being, basically, based on the fact that you said, I got the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And that's just not, it's not right, and it's not really always accurate. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So the next group deals with customization or conditioning. So the effects of customs and habits, our cultural training, what we believe is real or right, or even what is obvious, like patriotism, gender, morality, what is attractive, right? Do you say a prayer before meals, or do you not say a prayer before meals? All those things that our societal culture,
societal norms,
right? Like our customs and habits and conditioning. Like how were you raised? Were you, like how in some countries people don't wear their wedding ring on the fourth finger, they wear it on the middle finger, or how in some places waving at somebody is like a sign that you don't like them or something, like you, are bowing to someone in one, or like what is it in some places where, you know what I'm saying? Those kinds of customs, those,
like when you greet someone, it's rude if you, shake their hand or something, again, along those lines, like that in different cultures.
Yes. Right. So that kind of shapes our reality too, right? And it doesn't mean we're right or wrong. It's just one way that it affects how we perceive things. Like one of the things that I like is when you see in time travel movies, or like what I like to do is look at yearbooks, and how sometimes you'll see people post pictures of like yearbook photos of high school seniors from 1955 and say, look how old they look. Like, how come, you know what I'm saying? How our perception of beauty, and when the clothes that are stylish and like, oh, that looks good now, but, boy, that was really stupid of us back then. Those kinds of things are things that are customs that seem to be okay, and that society as a whole kind of decides this is cool and this is not cool, right? But it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, right?
What about the societal norm that made the Golden Girls somehow seem really, really old, but only one of them was in their 80s?
I don't know.
They were all like in their 60s.
They were all in their 60s, right? Yeah.
That's not old.
Even Estelle Getty, who played the mom, was like the same age as them, right?
Right. Exactly.
Here's another one.
That's not right. How were we sold that they were old?
Right. Like here's one, like, in some places chocolate covered crickets are a delicacy. but here we think it's gross, right?
I don't care how much protein it has. I'm good.
And you know that some people like eat roasted crickets, and obviously, I'm not sure if you've heard of this or not, but basically, we would not have world hunger if we just ate insects.
Yeah, I did hear that, actually. Okay. I totally did.
So when you come across some of these things, you want to ask yourself, why do I hold this belief? And is it reason, or is it training and indoctrination?
You want to examine it, right? You want to think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Like,
am I just looking at this like this is a bad thing because I was raised to believe this?
Yeah. And you really have to be intentional when you do it too. Yeah, you do have to ask yourself in your head, like, why am I getting
why do I think this is beautiful? Why do I think those clothes are ugly? Why do all of those things.
When you have that strong opinion about something, like, dude, why am I getting so upset about this? And as soon as you peel back one layer, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
The next one is contradictions between experts, teachers, and philosophers. So even if the wisest and the smartest experts can disagree with each other, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about in meaningful ways that have evidence and data, then how can we trust anything, right? Humility, not certainty, is the answer. That we have, limitations on if experts and who we might consider the wisest, smartest people can solidly disagree with each other, then how do we know? How do we at this level know what's right and wrong? And that we need to have more humility about the idea that we don't know what we don't know, and that we'll never know everything, right?
Absolutely, that's a really good
is
takeaway.
Not the answer. Well, I'm sure this person is absolutely right. How can you
the
be
person
sure?
who says that they know everything or they know the solution for everything, certainty is not the response. It's humble, being like, you know what? We're going to find people that do know how to do that. Or you want to trust that person who says they don't know, as opposed to I know all the answers.
Right. So now we come to what are called cognitive limitations. So the effects of rarity or frequency. We value things differently based off how often we experience them, not their inherent nature. For instance, we think it's awe-inspiring and amazing and so cool when there's like a solar eclipse, right? That happens, once every 3 or 4 or 5 years. In our location. Now it happens like every year all over the world, but not where we are, right?
Yeah, right.
But every day the sun comes up and sets, right? It's a daily life-giving thing every day.
Right.
But we don't value it the same as that eclipse because it's frequent. It's not rare. When a genocide happens, there are crickets, but when a celebrity dies, there's 3 days of news covering it, right?
Oof.
I know, oof. It's a numbers problem, right? So basically, we want to examine if and what we overvalue just because it's rare or seemingly rare. Like rarity doesn't equal value or truth, right?
Interesting.
I thought this one was really, really interesting.
Yeah, no, because I mean, just at the surface, I would think yes, that rarity
means it's more valuable.
Normally means it's more valuable. Like just in every I'm thinking like Roblox, like the really rare pets are going to be more valuable.
Right.
That's sort of like just going like completely off topic,
right. But that doesn't
you
necessarily mean that's true.
But it doesn't mean it's true. Exactly.
Right.
And Roblox is a great example for that too. Like Roblox is not important. And it can seem important to young minds. it can seem really valuable and really like you're putting time and effort into something. I'm really just coaching myself. I've had a Roblox addiction recently. So,
okay.
Sorry.
All right. So our last one is dependence on comparison. And we kind of touched a little bit on this earlier with the pairing thing, that you can't evaluate something on its own only if we compare it to something else. What is tall? Well, if you're on an island and everybody's 3 foot tall and somebody comes across the ocean and they're 3'5", then now they're tall, right? But they're not tall because in other parts of the world, everybody's 6 foot, right? And so It's all about what's around you. And this is why science is important, that they're actively seeking comparison to make the data meaningful, right?
To recap, it sounds to me like what you said was reality is objective, that many realities exist at once, that nobody can know.
It can be subjective too, yes. So perception is unstable
and subjective.
And
it depends on your perspective.
Therefore, we should suspend our judgment. Don't rush to conclusions. Mm-hmm. And I think this is kind of like where science helps, because all theories, I mean, like if you think about it, if you think about almost on your everyday interactions, and of course you can't do this with every single thing, theories should be provisional and falsifiable. That we can have doubts, we can test things, we can try to figure out, is this true? Is this real? We don't have to automatically take something at face value and say, yeah, that's right. And also, is science ever 100% settled? Generally, no, it's not. The scientific practice or study is the best way we have of gaining information that has the potential to be accurate enough to be useful and beneficial. Yeah. And I think that's how we have to think about this stuff too, is that we're not going to be completely skeptical about everything and believe absolutely nothing. But, I think it might be important that more people take on this idea that we don't know everything and we don't know what we don't know. And that it's okay to say that you don't know, right? You don't have to have all the answers all the time, right? And being dogmatic about things may not be the best course of action, right? What if you're wrong? And I have asked that to people in post and in person when they say, well, blah, 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 and this. And I go, what if you're wrong, though? What if what you said and what you think isn't right? Because what I'm trying to do is open up their mind to the possibility that maybe they don't have all the answers, and maybe that they're firmly stuck in their way of thinking, and maybe that's not the right thing to do.
I think saying what if to them it's not the right door to open. You know what I mean? Like they're already coming to you with their mind made up, sort of to say, and they're very certain of it. And you know what I mean?
I know. And that's why I'm saying with the things that we talked about here, for me, it gives me even more reason to be skeptical about things and to ask myself, what if I'm wrong? And so the idea is this a better way of looking at and dealing with the world? It's one of the problems with the world right now, is that everybody has made up their minds about things, and how do we come together? And I thought that was one of the things that we were trying to do, is to meet people where they are. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so part of that is understanding
acknowledging
all these
that
things.
Everybody has a different reality. Everybody has things that they're going through and stuff that they're dealing with. And we're all emotional. Y'all have trauma from our past, all of us. We're all dealing with our version of reality. And we should all reserve judgment.
We should all be slowing our judgments down, yes.
Slowing our judgments down, yes.
All of us. Slow your judgments down.
And less reactions. We need more thoughtful responses instead of reactions.
Right. Exactly. And then,
yeah, totally.
So I'll leave you with this last quote. He who claims to know is already deceived.
Ba-dum-ba. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. Great job, Mom.
I thought it was very interesting.
Did this really just happen?
What?
This podcast?
Yeah. We're doing it.
We did it. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for meeting me where I am.
You're welcome.